Schefter says the Redskins are hitting the reset button. So here's the question. Is it from start to finished with a question mark? Skip Bayless, I'll give it to you. Is this the end of RG3 in Washington?
Carrie, Stephen A. My best guess is, yes, this is the end. Stephen A., for me, as an RG3 longtime supporter, this is a bad and sad sign. I hope it's not the end of RG3 in Washington, though you could certainly make the case he needs a change of scenery. He needs to start fresh somewhere else with another coach. But I get it. What Adam is reporting, his sources are telling him this is just a reset button hit, short-term fix, that RG3 is still part of the long-term plans. But, Stephen A., I read the blog this morning on ESPN.com of the man who covers the Redskins for our website, John Keim, and he starts off with Adam Schefter's premise from Adam's sources, and then he said that everything else suggests this is the end of RG3 in Washington. And I would have to painfully agree with that, Stephen A., because we have heard the new coach, the first-year coach, Jay Gruden, over the last 2 weeks at least 3 times. He's treated RG3 in press sessions, media sessions, with little to no respect, not the respect that you would usually afford the franchise quarterback. It's become increasingly aware to me that Jay Gruden is just simply no longer sold on Robert as the long-term answer. And I got to be honest with you, Stephen A., I can't blame him. I can't recognize RG3 anymore. We know what happened his rookie year. He was sensational. Offensive Rookie of the Year, Pro Bowl, led the team to the division title, 20 touchdowns to 5 interceptions, had Seattle down 14-0 in a home playoff game before he got re-injured, and then you know the rest of the story. Got rushed back in year 2 with no preseason, and yet I look back at those first 3 games when he came back, Stephen A., and I'd take those right now. He threw for 329 on that Monday night against Philly, 320 and 326. And yet he lost all 3. He went 3-10 as a starter last year, and this year re-injured again, but it's just gone from bad to worse, worse, and worst. 106 yards passing against San Francisco out there last Sunday. I got to tell you, I can't defend it anymore. I still love the young man. Haven't always loved him off the field when he's been RGIII, but I still believe he can play. But heart of hearts, I think it's the end of him in D.C.
Well, I agree with you, Skip Bayless, but I still think that you're missing the boat in this with this story to some degree. You're looking at his performance. He started in 5 games this year. I don't know if he's won one of them. I can't remember. Remember, their first game when they beat up on Jacksonville, he left the game, he got hurt, and Kirk Cousins came in and they won the game. The Monday night game, they beat Dallas. I forgot what other game they won at this particular moment in time, but in the end, I'm not recalling any time when RG3 has been at the center of a win for the Washington Redskins this season. Let me also say this. The reason why I feel like you're missing the boat to some degree, and Adam Schefter, dare I say, is missing the boat because he is the great Adam Schefter, and I certainly am not questioning anything about him. But it doesn't mean anything to me that the Redskins have given no indication that they've given up on RG3. You're the franchise quarterback, and you're getting benched for Colt McCoy. If that isn't evidence that somebody's giving up on you in Washington, I don't know what is. Not only that, let's keep in mind that while y'all keep bringing up his performance on the field, Skip, it's that RGIII that you alluded to that some would argue has alienated some folks within the Redskins organization. When you listen to people within the Redskins organization talk about RG3, they don't talk about how he had a rough game. They don't talk about how he's a great guy, but he had a rough game. We just got to be there for him, et cetera, et cetera. You hear people behind the scenes talking about accepting accountability, not pointing the finger of blame. He's got to sit there, get rid of the football, stop taking so many daggone sacks, you know, and they talk. I don't want to say with vitriol because that implies that they're hating on him. I don't get that impression. What I do get the impression is that they are incredibly disgusted with this notion that they believe he is quick to point the finger of blame and he's not accepting accountability himself. So as a result of it, we're talking about character issues yet again when it comes to RG3, not just his play on the field. Think about it, Skip, this way. Colt McCoy, when he won on Monday Night Football, said all the right things. Kirk Cousins, when he had a good victory against Jacksonville and a good performance and a loss against the Philadelphia Eagles, said all the right things. If John Gruden decides that they're not getting the job done and they don't need to be in the lineup, does he talk about them that way in a press conference? No way. Because he doesn't have a problem with them character-wise. They just didn't perform. What you're looking at when you listen to Jay Gruden speak about RG3, you're looking at a coach, in my opinion, who has a problem with this guy's attitude, with this guy's approach, with this guy's willingness to accept accountability. That, to me, is different than RG3 just not getting it done. That is why I think that RG3's days in Washington are pretty much over. Yes, he gets paid $3.2 million next year or something along those lines, although they have to make a decision about him this coming May as to whether or not they're going to pick up the option for 2016. Since that option for 2016 is worth $18 million, I think it's safe to say there's no way in hell the Washington Redskins are going to pick up that option on RG3's contract. But it is important to note that while he's scheduled to get paid $3.2 million next year, the only way I see RG3 in a Washington Redskins uniform next season, Skip, is if they know they have no shot at having another quarterback that's better than him. That's about it. If they could find somebody better, they will get rid of RG3 as a late Christmas present if they could.
Okay, I hear. I think we're agreeing for different reasons.
Right,
but
that's what I'm saying.
I'm going to remind you that, after the Redskins gave away, 3 first-rounders and a second-rounder to go up to the second pick to take Robert Griffin III, they now have a full complement of draft picks this year, and they're on their way to, 3 and 8. Who knows what they'll finish, but they could have a very high draft pick before this is over. But back to the point, and I think we're on the same page here. If Robert were really part of the long-term plans, why wouldn't you let him finish this year just to see if he could continue to try to figure it out? If he's part of the plans, why wouldn't you at least explore with him what works better for him? Why wouldn't you commit to him on a losing season, 3 and 8, a lost season? Well, you wouldn't yank him unless, to your point, unless you're trying to punish him for his attitude, which I don't believe they're trying to do. And then my final point to you, Stephen A., we know that in the past, all too well we know, that the owner, Dan Snyder, has made Robert a favorite of his. He's protected him. You could argue he's coddled him. So am I to now believe that the owner is signing off on the first-year head coach, demoting the former franchise quarterback? I guess so. Either that or Jay Gruden is flat out. Okay, is he defying the owner? I don't think he would defy the owner. Seems like the owner's about to throw up his hands and give up on RG3 also.
Well, I think the owner's a businessman, and he recognizes that if I side with RG3, I've got to guarantee him $18 million this coming May for the 2016 season. And I don't think Daniel Snyder, the businessman, is that stupid. I don't think he's going to do that. So as a result of it, all you have to look at is this. What's the reasons why? Skip Bayless, they've got 3 victories this year. They've got it against Jacksonville, Kirk Cousins. They've got it against Tennessee and against Dallas. RG3 came back, after the Dallas game. You lose to Minnesota, you lose to Tampa Bay, and you lose to San Francisco. So to me, I just look at it, RG3 hasn't been a part of a winning scenario for the Washington Redskins this entire season. That speaks volumes, and I think that says it all.
Okay, and Kerry, last quick point before you jump in. You, Stephen A., you scoff at Colt McCoy, but remember, I think Colt McCoy is pretty close to what Jay Gruden was so successful with in Cincinnati in Andy Dalton. I think they're pretty close. Maybe Andy's got a little better arm than Colt McCoy does, but not a whole lot better. So I'm looking at a Jay Gruden who might be thinking, hey, he's had big success already with Colt McCoy in the sort of game and a half the Colts played for Washington. He may be thinking, I can do a lot better with him. He's more coachable.
But I like Colt McCoy's ability to be mobile. I think his arm is strong enough. I like the decision-making that he did against Dallas. I thought he played a really good game.
Yeah.
And I didn't scoff at Colt McCoy because of his lack of skills. I scoffed at Colt McCoy because I was convinced that RG3 was a franchise player and the proverbial pet of Daniel Snyder, and Daniel Snyder in no way was going to side with any kind of change for a Colt McCoy. Obviously, that scenario has changed. Wasn't about Colt McCoy.
All right, gentlemen, our Steve Young has some really strong